CoronaVirus. Happy times are here again. New AmeriVersal US Constitution for the 21st millennium, second of five. Spoiler alert. What we're hearing after our applications of Paradise to deliver us a model of nation-state constitution based on Paradise as principle of principles of reason. Just like engineering is application of science and science of philosophy, so is hermeneutics application of primeval Kabbalah. We need to reconfigure the state so as to allow human rights of the people to play a more active role. We want to end up with a new constitution having the Universal Declaration of Human Rights incorporated in its text. The prototype would have Universal People's Institute as keystone along with the legislative and executive powers as branches of government. This shows that the hypotenuse remes remit plays keystone role just as much as a triad plays cornerstone in the social edifice. The best safeguard of human rights and powers is having it incorporated as keystone of the triad set up as People's Institute and government, legislative, and executive powers. In this case, justice plays the role of keystone to the sides of People's Institute and government rule. The People's Institute would now include the judicial power, though no longer branch of government, alongside the catch-all of all rights, of was neither on the right, the legislative or executive powers, nor on the left, federal or state governments. Yes, now you know the ending. This should take us into safely concluding that the way to go is to create the Universal Institute of Rights and Powers of the People as proposed in Amendment 28 to the United States Constitution, or more to the point, in the new American Universal Constitution that already takes into account it in its wording. That is, we would need to redo the project of the new Constitution for the third millennium, improved with Article 1, People's Institute, incorporating the judicial power as part of it, power though no longer a branch of government, then followed by Article 2, legislative power, and Article 3, executive power as branches of government. That said, let's then start off with analyzing the, quote, preamble of the United States Declaration of Independence of July 4th, 1776, signed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Let's start by quoting said preamble, quote, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The cornerstone and keystone correspond to the beginning and end respectively. All I know is the tip and its preceding point, namely Paradise, Genesis 1:1, A Aleph, respectively, to make it from the front to the back end in life. The physics of political science is what we'll now use to put together the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. The intention is simply to map the above quotation of people's rights to the Paradise framework, basically made up of a triad of component parts under an unchangeable heading, as in triad parts PRD/1/S. At times, when the text of the document is rich in extension, it may allow for blowing up any of the sides of the main triad into an auxiliary triad in turn, as triad of triads, as in, say, triad P of auxiliary parts PP, RP, DP, and so on, doing similarly with the remaining triad parts R and D. This only serves the purpose of fine-tuning the small print of details within the larger stroke of things. In this first exhibition, we'll go slowly and assume it later on when boarding the vessel of the remaining two quotations. The formula Paradise is displayed as a reminder of the principle underlying all subsequent principles. Primeval Kabbalah is art in combination with science and philosophy, so to speak. As an anecdotal commentary, just the other day I participated in a meeting called to discuss inquiring into our spiritual nature to have us better prepared for the long haul of the pandemic. An online brainstorming group created to meet and explore the venues available to us. I had high hopes having overread the email. I proposed Kabbalah as a must to meet the caliber of today's COVID-19 challenge. For ordinary times, gardening and cable is all you need in your survival kit to make it across the finish line. But not so for times out of the ordinary, like these of lockdown pandemic. Of course, there was the pushback, saying that it's too mystical, and in any case, it will be about its history. I thought to myself, avoiding discussion, it's not about theory but practice. I'm using it on a daily basis and it's giving encouraging results. My brand of primeval Kabbalah is not a dry flower, but one out of the park in full bloom. Of course, not reading my stuff, they're not aware of it. Sadly, a catch-22 situation with deaf bully pulpit discouragement. The challenge is how to hatch out of the shell. With this idea in mind, I'll exemplify in order to demonstrate the physics of it all. Let's party. Please view the following slide corresponding to the thought laboratory experiment. The we, in its different presentations representing the substantive in the sentence, plays the holistic creator in the role of paradise. Next, immediately would come, quote, self-evident truths in the role of sought secret S. Being self-evident pretty much means there is nothing remaining behind the curtain. It's like when I say I know it in my heart that it's true. Looking inside the heart won't reveal anything of value, for as soon as you cut it open, the flesh is already out and no longer in anymore. That's the nature of being secret, all the while we know it to be there. For where else could it possibly be? Beyond the physical is the imaginary, for lack of a better word. It is second story. It's easier to point at than it is to explain it. You get the idea. Next in line would follow fleshing out the main triad. Usually the wording goes uphill and jumping across from the most physical to the most celestial in the spectrum. In this case, from, quote, all men are created equal of Peshat plane of P to, quote, endowed by the creator of Deraj discover of D, respectively. Finally, the hypotenuse emerges the conceptual, intellectual, or legal in this case, quote, unalienable rights of remes remit of R. Being the case that the preamble as text in question is a legal document, not unexpectedly, it further unfolds into a triad of triads, appearing in the text as, quote, that among these are. And corresponding to the auxiliary triad, it would have a second member, the R, as XR with X taking on the DR and P values, corresponding to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, respectively. In this case, the rollout is top down, starting with, quote, life as the Raj remes, discover remit, DR, on the vertical imaginary axis, followed by, quote, liberty as remit, RR on the hypotenuse, and finally by, quote, pursuit of happiness, Peshat remes, plane remit on the horizontal real axis. As friendly reminder, I'm writing human rights inside the R auxiliary right triangle corresponding to the aforementioned, quote, unalienable rights in the body of the text. Likewise, I'm writing on the main triad right triangle, quote, preamble, United States Declaration of Independence, unquote. The paradise takeaway of the United States Declaration of Independence is tight fit as surgeon's glove between, on the right, the cookie cutter archetypal tool from Principles of Genesis 1:1, A and Aleph, and on the left, the constituent principles laid out in linguistic parts in the USA Declaration of Independence. This is the second of 5 parts of the series. Please don't miss the next 3 episodes, and most of all the happy ending of the new Constitution for America and Universal, and by extension for the whole wide world. Well, that's all, people. Yours truly, Rick, your Charro Anusim, and GD Bless. Austin, Texas, capital of the world.